Welcome to RPG Ranked, the channel where all your favorite RPGs are ranked.
What's up, RPG nerds? We are back for another 1,000 Year Door video. This will be the third in the series, and we have all chapters ranked. I've done partners ranked, I've done badges ranked, and now we have chapters ranked. Okay. So let's just get right into this. No need for some bizarre intro or anything. And so I will first explain each of these tiers real fast. The D tier, we have not a chapter, because obviously we all know what's going to be in that tier, the prologue. Then C is heavily flawed and just alright. I don't really know what else to say about it. And then B, heavily flawed but still good. A, great but not life-changing. Meaning, like, this game is amazing and you'll remember these chapters for a long time. But so the A tier are still really good, but they're not, like, super good, right? And then S, some of my favorite dungeons and stuff in any RPG. And just as a warning, like, half of these will probably go in S tier, just so you know. So, we're going to start with the D tier, and that is the prologue. Is the prologue bad? No, it's actually a pretty dang good prologue for a video game, but it's still a prologue. Like, you just have Goombella, you're just in Rogueport, which Rogueport is probably the coolest hub town ever, but you're still just in Rogueport, and all you do is you kill Lord Crump, you get Goombella, you go down in the sewers, you fight a blooper, and you go down a pipe. And oh, you talk to the professor dude and the map and all that. But, like, that's it. That's all there is in this chapter. It's not bad. I mean, the only reason I put it in D, like, it's not even D. Like, this is still a good part of the game. This is probably still, like, I mean, this is, like, just comparatively, like, this whole game is A tier, S tier game in general. But just, this is not that great. So, it's the prologue. Like, you can't judge it, but it's the prologue. It's not as good as any of the stuff. Okay, then we have chapter 1. Okay, I am going to look at my article I posted literally forever ago to talk about this. Okay, so Castle and Dragon, chapter 1 with Hooktail's Castle and all that stuff. Okay, Castle and Dragon. There's not really much to say about Castle and Dragon. It's just a generic castle level. And, I mean, it's unique. It's still unique. It's still different from, like, the original Paper Mario's castle level, or Sticker Stars, or they're all different in some way, shape, or form. It's a tower instead of a castle, which is cool. The tower's cool. Well, I guess it is a castle until the end of the tower. No, Sticker Star. Oh, oops. Never mind me. I'm just being dumb now. Okay. The Petal Meadows was just your typical grass level. Koops' story arc was fine. It was generic, though. It was still fun to watch, and, like, the fake out death and, like, all the humor around that and stuff. Petalburg was cool. Generic again, though. Hooktail's Castle was really good, but pretty generic again. It's just kind of hard to describe the chapter, because it's just really great, but a lot of it's just generic. I think the most unique part is the fortress, and the part where he starts, like, oh, here's some trivia, and that's fun. I really like that part. But, I mean, it doesn't stand out in any way, but it's still really good, even though it's kind of generic. And I will say, it's just there, kind of. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's the least flawed chapter. I can't really think of any part where I play this first chapter and I'm like, ugh, this is boring. Like, there's no time. Every other chapter, there's at least a little bit where I'm like, this part's kind of boring. But I don't think that is it. So each chapter, I came up with 2 reasons in which that chapter was the best at. And for chapter 1, it's the best introduction. It starts out the best. I mean, it's the best introduction since the start of the game. So some of these are a stretch, but chapter 1, best introduction and least flawed, because I don't really see much flaws in this chapter. Yeah, then we have chapter 2. This one is infamous, and this is the Great Boggly Tree. Okay. This is the only chapter in the game. Oh, I didn't even put this. Oops. There. A. Great, not life-changing. There we go. Sorry. Chapter 2 is the only one that I find to not be a blast to play through. And there are things I still love about this chapter, but there are just some issues. So heavily flawed, but just alright. C tier. Okay. I really liked this chapter. All these other ones I loved. Like, I would play these any day. But chapter 2 just has some flaws, okay? First, I will tell you the 2 things that are best about this chapter that are better than all the other chapters. And that is the visuals. It looks amazing. This chapter looks absolutely amazing. So good. I love it. I'll give it that. Best visuals. Unless you want to count the prologue, then Rogue Port. But the most unique visuals, I say, for Great Boggly Tree. Like the rainbow and the black and white, super cool. And then the other thing, best dialogue. The puny elder is so funny. Like, the punies are really fun. Now, when it comes to the gameplay, they suck. When it comes to the dialogue, they're a blast. Like, they're hilarious, right? And so, yeah. Punies are great. When it comes to that. But here we go with the things I don't like very much, okay? So we first start off with the Madame Flurry issue. All these partners in this game are unique, have cool personalities and stuff. Goombella is like that girl who knows everything and like super smart and stuff. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my mic so it's not like too loud or anything. But like, so it probably isn't too loud here. Goombella is like the nerdy girl, but like she's still really lovable and stuff. She's not like too much of a nerd, and you like really like Goombella. Like, she's very likable. Anytime you tattle or you use her out of like the ability that you like inspect people kind of out of battle, it's fun. Like, Goombella always has that flash of personality, even though since she doesn't have a storyline, she still has some of the most personality in the game because of how her ability works and how tattle works and stuff, right? Then Koops, you have that whole story arc. It's basic, but it's like his arc of going through from a puny Koopa dude to like being a fighter and killing a big old dragon. Like, Koops has an arc. Madame Flurry doesn't really, and I'll get to that in a second, but Koops has that like beginning to end. You're rooting for him to save his dad and all that stuff. And Koops is basic, just like, kind of generic, just like the whole chapter 1, but it's still good. It's still good, and Koops is still a cool character. Okay, then we have, I'll get to Madame Flurry last, but then we have Yoshi, which has the best dialogue. Like, he's not super developed because he just hatches from an egg and he joins your party, right? But when you are in cutscenes and stuff, it depends on what partner you have out at the time, and that changes the dialogue of each cutscene, right? I'm sure you knew that if you've played the game. But Yoshi has hilarious dialogue. Like, he's always like, Mr. Gonzalez or whatever. The Great Gonzalez, that's what it is, Great Gonzalez. And it's just, Yoshi always says all this funny crap, and he's funny. And besides, he lets you actually move fast, like, So, we love Yoshi. Great. He's great. Third. And then fourth, we have Vivian, who's my personal favorite partner in the game. When it comes to story, not in battle, but when it comes to story, Vivian's my favorite, I think. Just the arc of like having the 2 sisters that hate her and all that, and her redemption arc in helping Mario, the Shadow Mario, because she sees that he's in need. And then she realizes that Mario's not a bad guy, way better than her sisters and stuff. It's just I really like her story. Like, I really love all of Chapter 4 when it comes to story and stuff. And you get a lot from Vivian because at the time she's your only partner, so she has to talk a lot and stuff. And she has a really cool design, and in certain versions it's even more because it's like her sisters hate her because she's like transgender or whatever, depending on the version. So just whatever version you're playing, the arc is just interesting. So, yeah, I think that, so Vivian has that. And then Admiral Boggly, super cool like background. His wife is dead. He's like a drunken sailor. He has all this stuff, and he overcomes that, and he goes back to sea and stuff. And most of his story is before the chapter really even starts, honestly. But Admiral Boggly is probably my second favorite partner in terms of story and stuff. He's great. And then yeah, so he has His personality isn't my favorite, but just his story is great. I mean, and he's like a broken dude or bomb or whatever. So, I mean, at that point, he probably wouldn't have like a really peppy, fun personality anyway, right? He's an old sailor. He's really interesting too. And we have Miss Mouse, who's interesting because she keeps showing up at random times, and you're like, is she important? Am I going to get her in my party? And then when you do, and it's interesting because you get her just from random task and errand or whatever. And it's just, her like flirting with Mario is like funny and stuff, like, right? And it's just fun to see her keep appearing until you get her in your party. Now, Madame Flurry also like flirts with Mario. But Madame Flurry, just her design and stuff, it seems wrong. Like, for some reason, somehow Miss Mouse and Mario like kind of have chemistry for some reason. Mario, Madame Flurry, like Madame Flurry's probably like 3 times his age. It's so awkward. And her whole personality is that she's nice and helps the Punies, and that she is a movie star. Like, nothing else happens with her. You get her and she helps the Punies. And that's it. That's all you get from Madame Flurry until the very end of the game. The most interesting part about Madame Flurry is when she's like, okay, we are doing this, and she and Dupless star in the play that show all the events of the game. That's interesting, and that's meta. But, like, other than that, that's all Madame Flurry does that's interesting, is that she stars in a play about Paper Mario, and that she's a kind soul. And her dialogue is so boring when she's, like, out of your party. I mean, like if you're about to get in the cutscene, don't control Flurry, because she's not really interesting. So just her design and stuff, like, Flurry's obviously, I'm sure you can tell, but she's my least favorite partner in terms of story and stuff, right? She's definitely the worst, least developed, and, I mean, yeah. The Puny story is great, but it focused on the Punies and not Madame Flurry. Madame Flurry is very not interesting. I mean, get her in the spotlight. She's an actor. Like, put her in the spotlight of the story, and it really didn't. And then the second part about this chapter, it overstayed its welcome. So long. It's one dungeon. It's a tree, and it took me the longest of any of the chapters. The fact that I was able to battle through like 1 billion battles in Glitzville, and I was able to do all the backtracking in chapter 4 and 5 and stuff, and that I was able to get through 3 days of excess in chapter 6, and the general white thing in chapter 7, like all of it took less time than the Great Boggly Tree. And I think chapter 8 might have taken longer, probably because it's the final dungeon, but that makes sense. It's long, like, Boggly Tree is the longest thing in the game. The biggest issue, the puny thing, the punies following you around is flawed because of how it works. Like, they'll just get caught on random things, and it's super annoying, like, to go back and pick them up, and it's really convoluted, and it's not, that isn't the biggest deal for me. Some people are like, oh, this chapter shouldn't be a thing because of that. No, that's not why. I just think that it's mostly the fact that just the whole level is confusing. Like, you can't remember where you're supposed to go because it's just, the layout was so random, so that's what takes you so long. And the layout being random, if you leave a puny behind, you have no idea where they're at, and then the level layout makes it even worse at that point. So, I mean, I still think that the positives of this chapter outweigh the negatives. I still think it's C. It's not like a D or an F. It's still good. It's heavily flawed, and it's just alright. I mean, I really like that Vivian is introduced here, too. Like, Vivian is like, I love the Shadow Sirens. They're some of my favorite characters in this game. And the dialogue, the Shadow Sirens being introduced, and the setting is great. And now, like, when I was on the map, like, let's see, if we pull up the map of the, let's see, 1,000 Year Door map. If you look at this, I'm just going to say something. When I first heard the Great Boggly Tree and stuff, I used to watch gameplay videos, and I was so excited for Twilight Town because I saw all the gameplay videos about Twilight Town. For some reason, that's the only gameplay I ever saw. So all I knew coming into the game was that Twilight Town was one of the chapters. I was like 7 years old watching these like videos of how cool Twilight Town and stuff was. And I got to the Great Boggly Tree thinking that's what it was going to be, so I was underwhelmed when the Great Boggly Tree was this like kind of convoluted, like, I don't know. So I was just going to mention that because, like, I might even be judging this a little bit too hard, although a lot of people judge it more than me. But I thought this was going to be as good as Twilight Town, and it wasn't. And just, oh, the whole X-Naut parts, that's cool. And the jabbies and stuff, that there's a lot of conflict happening within this tree. Like, the story is great here. Probably one of the better ones. Like, all the puny stuff, and the jabbies, and the X-Naut, I forgot. All that's great. The Madame Fleury story, not good. The Shadow Siren story is good. It's just, it's really convoluted and stuff, and I just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this might even be B tier right here. This, I think I'm going to change this to B tier, A tier, S tier, and S plus. I still think that there's so much going for this chapter. It's just kind of convoluted, and there's a lot of weird level things. Okay, now we're going to go to Glitzville, which some people regard to be the best in the game. I don't think it's my favorite in the game, but do I think it's the best chapter? Yeah, best chapter in the game. Best chapter. Is it my favorite? No, but it is the best chapter. There's so much cool stuff in this chapter. It's a freaking tournament where you just get to fight a bunch of things, and all throughout this, there's this element of mystery. Now, Chapter 6 completely doubles down on that mystery element. Chapter 3 is able to balance enemies, bosses, mystery, gameplay, all in one, all while having an amazing aesthetic. And Glitzville is the best chapter. It is. It's not my favorite, but it is the best. And I gave the two things for it. I gave best enemies and the best chapter. It's not my favorite, but the best. It has an awesome emotional twist at the end with the whole thing about the Prince Mush, I think was his name. But and you find all about that X stuff, and then you realize it's the pink toad lady, and then you realize that Grubba was bad all along, and it's just so much setup, and it makes sense all when it's revealed, and it's so cool. So cool. Like, it is so good. And that scene is super emotional. Like, it hit pretty dang good when I I don't even remember what happens in the scene. I just remember that hit my heart, tugged at my heartstrings with the two mushroom people. It wasn't the most emotional scene in Paper Mario series for me. That hands down goes to Bobby dying in Origami King. I'll talk about that once I make some Origami King videos. I still haven't finished that game. I literally cried in my room and took a nap. Like, that was embarrassing, but like, I loved Bobby. I don't know, but anyway. So that it's emotional, it has a mystery, it has battles, it is just all of the let's see. So the gauntlet of enemies, right? The fighters start. Oh, I forgot. The fighters start disappearing. That was super cool. Mystery element, and then the emails from X and Rock Hawk, and then it just all perfect climax. All of it. Prince Mush and Jolene. Oh, that's their names. Like, it's the most well-rounded chapter in the game. It's just the best. It wasn't like, looking back, I don't have the most fun with it. Like, the chapter I'm going to end up putting in first, like, I'm like, that's objectively not as well designed as some of these other ones. But I always look back at that chapter and think, that one was the most fun. That is not Glitzville for me. It is the best, but it wasn't my favorite in terms of most fun, right? So, yeah. Okay, then we have, what's it called? For Pigs the Bell Tolls. And this one is also going in S+. I love this chapter so much. I think people either love this chapter or they hate it. And for Chapter 4, I put most unique and most interesting. It's playing through it a second time. And this isn't the most fun chapter either. Like, you're not. It's more like contemplative and stuff, and it's more just interesting. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm having so much fun playing this. There's a lot of backtracking and stuff, but I'll get to why I don't dislike the backtracking that much, actually. But, it's like, this chapter's like the blue cheese of Thousand Year Door. You love it or hate it, but I'm not changing my opinion about this. And I might be a little biased because I always watched videos and stuff about Chapter 4. This is the first thing I ever saw from this game was Twilight Town, and that's why I even started playing, because Twilight Town was so cool. The first half of the chapter is super cool, right? You go, you kill Dupless. I mean, it's already a cool aesthetic. Like, the idea that when the bell tolls, people turn into pigs, like, that's crazy. Like, that's super weird and stuff, and it's interesting. But when that curse is broken and you become Shadow Mario and the chapter isn't yet over, that blew my mind when I was playing. I literally think I dropped the controller on the floor when I was like 7 playing this. I was like, what the heck? And it adds a very unique plot for the second half of the chapter. That's why I said most interesting. It really is the most interesting. And it just, the creepy steeple is really cool. Favorite antagonist in the game, Dupless. I would say Vivian, but she really isn't an antagonist. So, and then the perfect atmosphere. Like, the whole atmosphere is so good. Like, I said the Boggly Woods had the best aesthetic. But, I mean, I might regret that. I might think that Twilight Town is the best. But, and then the comedic dialogue between Birds and Boos, that was nice and stuff. Then another thing, what people hate about this backtracking is, I don't agree with, and this is why. People are like, oh, it's the same thing over and over again, which it kind of is. It's just going back and forth the Twilight Trail. But there's like a kind of a message in there for me. I don't know why. I'm thinking way too hard in this. But the first time, you have all your partners with you. You walk through, all the enemies are so easy, and then you beat the chapter, right? But when you come back, it's just Mario. Like, you feel the hopelessness of not having your partners. And it's the only time in the game where it's just Mario in your party, I think. Unless Lord Crump is only Mario. I can't remember. But at the very beginning of the game. But you only have Mario, and it's really hard. Like, that part. Just backtracking, you'll probably die. And then it's cool because you have Vivian come back through with you. And you're like, Vivian's the only one on your side going up against all of your people that you care and love, and like, it's just interesting. I thought that was interesting. And I thought the difficulty spike was actually nice, because like, I was devastating enemies even though I only had like 10 HP. Like, this was a little bit too easy, but I felt like I needed to strategize and change up my battle tactics, because I was getting game overs, and I thought that was interesting. And yeah, this isn't the most fun chapter. Like, I'm ranking these based off how fun did I have, how much fun did I have, and it took me so long to decide how I was going to rank this S+, because I could switch them around and I would still be okay with how I placed them. But overall, the S+ ones, I was just like, you know what? Whichever has the most fun value, I look back on it and I'm like, that was a blast. That's how I'm ranking this. And this was not at the top for me. So, that's where I'm putting that. And some people would debate this way lower, but I don't. I think this chapter is amazing. Okay, chapter 5, here we are. Number 1. I don't know why. I really do not know why I put chapter 5 in number 1. I just look back on it and I'm like, that was the chapter I had the most fun with. I just think there's so many cool moments in this chapter. It's not original. It's literally, I mean, it's not that original. It's literally like heck, it's even kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean. That might be why. That's one reason I love it so much. I love Pirates of the Caribbean and Jack Sparrow and stuff. But if I could only replay one chapter in this game, it'd be this one. Now, why? The pirate theme. I love pirate theme, you know. And there's just a lot of cool things that happen, like, story-wise. You get the Barbary and the Scarlet's letter, which that's, now that I'm thinking about the Scarlet letter, right? But it's Barbary and Scarlet, right? All of Flavio's journey and journal entries while you're getting to the island. Then you get stranded on the island, which is interesting because that's not what's supposed to happen, right? And then you fight against Cortez, and that's an awesome battle, right? And at this point, you're saving the Toads, the original crew, and then it's super funny because you're like, Cortez is like, oh wait, all you wanted was a crystal star. Oh, take that. It's so anticlimactic that it's hilarious. And then the coolest part for me is just that epic battle from Lord Crump and the X-Nauts, and like the pirate ships just swerving around each other. Oh, one of my favorite games is also Sea of Thieves. So like, this was just like Sea of Thieves, but in an RPG. Like, this was so fun. And it's just, you have like a sense of like, you can't escape, you're shipwrecked, and it's just really cool. And the Keelhaul Key is fun. I think the backtracking is the worst in this chapter, honestly, compared to chapter 4, because I felt like I was interested because I was only playing as Mario or whatever, and I thought that was a new twist on the gameplay. It's just the same thing, walking back and forth, but what makes up for it are the fun battles, the scenery, and the man, the myth, the legend himself, Flavio. And it's just so absurd. Like, you're going to get a coconut and trading it for a skull gem, and you just, like, something about some, like, Chuckle or whatever, I don't know. And there's that, and then you get the Pirate's Grotto, and there's a lot of backtracking in Chapter 5, which I don't understand why I find it the most fun. I just think, once you get to that final part, it's just, everything becomes so fun. Like, Cortez on. Like, it's just, it's the best moment in the game for me when it's like, you fight Cortez and completely just, I don't even really know how to explain why this is my favorite chapter. Because looking at it, it's not really the best at all. Like, there's so much backtracking and stuff. But it's flawed, but I love it. And it's probably because I like pirates and stuff. But, so I put, my 2 words for it were, most fun and had the best moment. And it's hard for me. I don't know if chapter 8, the final thing where Goombella's explaining where everyone goes off and what they do, and that part, or the epicness of this. But I just, like, the last time I played this game, it was like 3 in the morning. I had a grapefruit soda, and I was supposed to be, but I was so excited to just replay this moment that I couldn't even wake up at a normal time to play. I couldn't wait for after school. No, I woke up at 3 a.m., got a grapefruit soda, went into this, like, went on my computer and did this finale because I was so hyped just to play the finale again. Like, I don't even know. Anyway, I really like chapter 5. Then we have 3 Days of Excess, which is also an amazing chapter. Like I said, essentially, most of this game is gonna end up in S+ tier. Like, these are all tied, like, almost tied for me. Like, I'm putting it in S+ again. Like, just, this game is so good. So there are a lot of cool highlights in this chapter. So the mysteries on the train, they're more conventional mysteries. It's not like one big, like, oh my gosh mystery. But it's like more of like a detective type mystery where it's like Pennington trying to figure out these small clues, and then S'more comes out of nowhere. So it's more like obviously like the Oriental Express thing, but like a Mario twist on it. And they're not really impactful, like super crazy mysteries. It's not like as good of a mystery even as Chapter 3. I think I might have to move this one down now that I think about it. And that is because this chapter is mostly just mystery and talking to random people on the train. And there isn't as much of a good balance between fighting and all that stuff. Like the Riverside Station, not really fun battles. Like it's like Goombas and stuff and Pokies. And then, I mean, Smorg is a great boss fight, but I mean, you're just getting mysteries to the bigger piece of the puzzle. And oh, Duplis and Beldum are revealed to be behind all of it. I forgot about that. Actually, no, you know, I'm gonna put it back up here. I forgot about that. That was cool. And it's cool to see that some characters carry over on chapters. And yeah, I forgot. I'm keeping this in S+ tier because some of the characters I forgot. Pennington is so funny. He calls Mario Luigi. He's the worst detective ever, but it's so fun to see him fail everything. It's so funny. And he's probably my favorite non-playable character in the game. Like, I like to talk about how epic Flavio is, but that's mostly a joke. Pennington, I like to make fun of how bad he is, and he's hilarious. And it's some of the best humor in the game, because he thinks Mario's Luigi the whole time. Like, the Riverside Station, it's fine. I like it a lot more than other people do because of the tube curse and the ultra boots and the Smorg and the platforming and all that. The battles are fine. I think that's fun. And the Smorg sequence itself is super cool, where it's like taking over the train and all that. Power Bounce made it too easy for me, and then it's not even done yet. Like, you're like, oh, right, we don't even have a Crystal Star. It's not even mentioned yet. This is all just trying to get to the Poshly Sanctum. Not Poshly, I mean Poshly Sanctum, but Poshly Heights. A unique town that I feel like was underutilized, but it was really cool. And then you arrive, and then there's another plot twist, actually, where you troll Bowser and stuff by keeping that fake Crystal Star, and Pennington is revealed to be the keeper of the Sanctum, which is interesting because you're like, oh, Pennington isn't an idiot this whole time? And he's like, oh, I'm not an idiot, I'm just a very amateur detective who's never done anything before. And you're like, oh, okay, Pennington isn't a failure. And then you're just like, cool plot twist at the end. And it's just interesting. It's also interesting to have a chapter where the final battle is not the climax. Right, and it's cool. I love the mystery and the characters and the boss fight, but it's just not as good as these other ones. I still think it's S+. But it could be an S. Like, it's teetering on the edge there. But it's really cool. And this is, although I would say this is probably, other than the Boggly tree, because that chapter is just flawed, I'd say this is the worst chapter on a replay. Just because, like, it's just mostly the mystery elements. Whereas for Glitzville, like, even though you already know the mystery, if you're playing it again, you're like, oh, well, I get to fight those battles again. So, yeah. Okay, then we have Mario Shoots the Moon, which goes in A tier, the only one in A tier. Heavily flawed, but still good. Oh, by the way, Chapter 6, the things I call it are Best Mystery and Best Characters. And I don't even think it has the Best Mystery, but I just put that because I had to give it 2 things. I was just trying to be, like I said, some of those are a stretch. Okay. Then we have Mario Shoots to the Moon, which is cool. I can't, like, the fact that this chapter is second to last on this list is enough to say that this game is absolutely amazing. The general white side quest was actually a little bit funny to me. I didn't think it was that bad compared to what some people think. Like, I know David Vink was like, it killed the game. I'm like, not really. I still think the backtracking in Chapter 5 was more annoying, which is so weird because I put it on top of this list and I don't regret it either. But the general white's kind of funny. That's cool. The Far Outpost part is really cool. I just like that we get like an icy place. Imagery is nice. And Mario shooting to the moon, that part, like the actual shot to the moon is probably the best part about this chapter. Actually, second best part about this chapter. And the battle, and then the moon itself, it was the moon. I mean, there wasn't that much on it. And then the moon, the Exnaut Fortress was fun. There's puzzles. You get to beat Lord Crump once and for all. Witness the sad death of Tech, which was, I wasn't expecting that the first time. I didn't actually. Mario games really don't kill off characters much. Although I think Tech was like revived in the end, and Lord Crump was still alive. So I don't really know. I think the only thing that actually died was the Shadow Queen, but that might have just got sealed back in the box. I don't know. Mario doesn't really kill off people that much, which is another reason why Bobby's death was the most emotional. But and it's just a really good chapter, but I just don't really see why to put it higher on this list. I think it's really good. I don't even know if it's heavily flawed. I don't think it's really heavily flawed. I'm just gonna put good. I don't think it's as good as any of these ones, but it's still good. And just one other thing that this chapter doesn't have is a story, really. You just like go to the moon and you go to a base. And like you escape the base and that, and the tech teleporting or whatever. That part's cool, but like there's not really a story. There's no partners to be rooting for and stuff. And the General White's kind of annoying, and there's all that. So it's not like that bad, but it's also not that good. I mean, sorry, it's good. It's just not the best. Like, I think A tier is a perfect place for that chapter. And then we have the last chapter in the game, which I put in 3rd place. And this chapter is amazing. And Oh, I didn't even, sorry. I said my second favorite part was, about this chapter was, what did I say the second favorite part? Mario actually shooting to the moon. But the best part for me is the X-Naut Fortress theme. I don't know what about it, but I freaking love that song. It's like, it's literally like the same 3 notes, but it's so epic. Amazing song. Anyway, now we're going to the final dungeon, which it has the best bosses in the game, for sure, and probably the best story, just because it's the final end. You have all the build up throughout everything in the game. It 100% delivers on that. It's what a finale needs to be. The introduction is great. It works because other chapters have interesting introductions, and it like plays into the story, and you get characters like Don Pianta and all that stuff, and you get like the introduction to the Punies, or you get Mario actually shooting the moon, or like getting a train ticket or a plane blimp ticket or whatever from Don Pianta, or talking to that dude and getting your name written on your stuff so you can go to Twilight Town. You don't have an epic intro, but at the same time that works because you just want to get right into the final dungeon. And it's actually cool enough because the bad guys, they pretend to be Frankly. Dupless pretends to be Frankly, and you open the door for them or whatever, and it's just, that's interesting. I think it's good that they didn't have unnecessarily drawn an intro. Okay, the boss fights in this dungeon are some of the best boss fights in any RPG. They're so fun. If you power bounce everything, it kind of ruins it. But if you don't power bounce, it's super fun. And the enemy fights aren't as entertaining as Glitzville, but they're still the second best in the game, I would say, the enemy fights. But the bosses are amazing. And the story, amazing. Like the end and stuff. I love when the team says goodbye to Mario. That's sad. Frankly revealed to be Dupless. Yep. Introduction to the Shadow Queen. And yeah, Mario and Luigi reading Goombella's letter. That's one of my favorite endings to a game. That Goombella letter. It was super good. I do have a couple little nitpicks about that final part. I don't really see Koops being the mayor of Petalburg. That's just me, though. That doesn't click with me, because I still don't think he's fully, I don't know. Like, did the other mayor die? I don't know. It's not a big deal. I just still think that's interesting. Vivian's sisters just start randomly being nice to her. That doesn't make any sense to me. Grotus and Lord Crump surviving without any explanation. It's just being a Mario game where nobody can die and making it really easy or whatever. Oh, and the dumbest thing in the whole entire game is in this chapter, where Peach comes and is like, "There's another treasure map." Really? Like, you had to end the game like that. Now people just want a sequel that we'll never get. The game just could have ended without Peach ever coming back and saying that. It was such a stupid moment. And it just goes to show that Peach is the most idiotic character ever. The ending was balanced out since, like, Flurry, Yoshi, Bobbery, Miss Mouse, and Dupless had perfect conclusions to their characters. And I thought that it was just cool that we got, like, Luigi going off and doing his own thing. Because in the original Paper Mario, he was just sitting at home. And I wasn't irritated by the fact that Mario was like explaining all this to Luigi, because Luigi has his own things to explain to Mario. I just hate when Luigi's left out, just to be honest. And then the Tower of Riddles, that was super cool. Like, that was super fun. I'd solve them really fast, but that was one of my favorite parts about the gameplay. Some of the riddles were a little easy, but they were still super cool. And this chapter has perfect balance of gameplay, boss fights, and story. And it's a near perfect chapter. I have a couple of issues with it, just with the ending a little bit. But, obviously, I put it in third. Like, it's still amazing. So, that is my tier list for all of the chapters in Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. I'm sorry this video ended up being so long. I really rant. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like the video. Every Saturday, I'll be posting more videos on the RPG Ranked channel and on rpgrank.com. There will also be a new article every Saturday. They won't necessarily correspond since the website's been around a lot longer than the YouTube channel, but we have stuff over there. And then on Thursdays, I think I'm going to start posting non-RPG videos like Identity V and Garden Warfare 2 and Star Wars Battlefront. So I think I'll be posting 2 videos a week from now on, fingers crossed. But yes, so please check the channel and rpgrank.com. There's also merch down in the description. If you really liked this video, we have merch down in the description. And thank you all for watching. I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe and comment about your favorite chapter in the game. And I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out, gamer nerds.